Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Steve with the Real Progressives. I decided to take a moment during my lunch break to come talk to y'all. And, it's very, very apparent for those of us who have been doing this for a while here that the things that we say at Real Progressives cause folks' head to explode. There's been an awful lot of people who have gotten extremely, extremely butthurt from some of the stuff that we have said here at Real Progressives. Now, whenever somebody brings something to you that forces you to look at something that you thought you knew all kinds of stuff about, you thought you were in the know, you thought you were smart and savvy, and you bought into something that wasn't true, and you've been saying it long enough, you've been saying it so long that you just believe yourself to be true. And anything that comes against that causes you to lose your mind because you want to be right. You don't want to be wrong. And for those of you saying hello, let me just say hello to you all, okay? Thank you so much for tuning in. But we say things that are naturally divisive. It's not intended to be divisive, but the truth is divisive, okay? Most people have not focused in the area that we focus on. And so it's very difficult for people when they run around doing live streams or write articles and this, that, and the other, and they say things that are completely erroneous. Like, well, we go to war and we put it on the government credit card. When you hear people say stuff like that, it's completely wrong. It's completely wrong. And it facilitates other wrong thinking, right? When you say something fundamentally wrong, it starts a whole series of wrong decisions, a whole bunch of series of wrong conclusions that you draw. And so Real Progressives have unapologetically told you exactly how it is on economics, because we care about our progressive agenda. We're not going for clicks. We're not going for likes. If we were going for likes, we would talk about the Rothschilds. If we were going for likes, we would talk about how the government is just spending on the government credit card, and nobody would care because that's what they're used to hearing about. And then all of a sudden the likes would go up, the following would go up, all this stuff would go on. And at the end of the day, people would be like, hey, he said what I've thought, so it's all good. Jeffrey Blaine, who are you? My name's Steve Grumbine. I'm the founder of Real Progressives, and I am an MMT evangelist, an activist, and I am surrounded by people who are my betters that know this stuff inside and out, and I'm here to be the hammer for their message. That's what the deal is. That's who I am. In any event, back at the ranch. So when I see people get completely out of their mind when we explain to them how federal financing works, they sit there and they are entrenched, raging at us that we're wrong. How dare they say this? How dare they say this, right? And the reality is that I've said this before, so I'll come and bring it to you, okay? I used to be a Ron Paul guy. I used to be a gold bug. I used to talk about the Rothschilds. I used to talk about all these Fed bank conspiracies and the Fed, all that stuff. I used to believe it, straight up, straight dope. I did. I admit it. I'm embarrassed, but I did. And it's good that I did, quite frankly, because it means when I tell you it's bullshit, that there's a good reason for me to say it's bullshit. Okay? And the people have got to get over this conspiracy-driven narrative about debt deficits, the Federal Reserve, etc., or we are never going to see any progress. And the folks get so freaking angry at me. I had one person, I'm not going to mention their name, but they said that I triggered them because they didn't like my style. The things I said, it's like I'm saying them with certainty, like I'm not leaving any room for discussion, like as if there's a debate to be had. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of am telling you the truth. This isn't a matter of debate. This isn't like, well, that's a good idea, and I could certainly see it that way too. I'm bringing to you straight information. I just am, and I can't help it, and I'm not going to water it down, because I would rather you guys wake up and hear that modern monetary theory is a description Exactly, Stacy. Perfect. Water is freaking wet. But the bottom line is that modern monetary theory is not something to be implemented. It's not something that if we just adopted it, everything would be great. Modern monetary theory is not some fringe idea. Modern monetary theory is a description of federal financing and how all currency works. It's a description. It doesn't tell you what to do with it. Republicans can use this knowledge. Libertarians can use this knowledge. Democrats could use this knowledge. Green Party could use this knowledge. And even our alternative media, if they chose to actually be in truth and not spread conspiracies, could be in the know as well. The bottom line is modern monetary theory describes exactly and precisely how federal financing works. Exactly how federal financing works. It is an operations manual. Exactly, Stacy. Perfectly stated. It breaks down dollar creation, which is congressional spending, and it breaks down dollar deletion, which is taxation. Taxes do not fund spending. Taxes do not pay for things. It's not some good idea. Wouldn't it be neat if that were true? This is the real McCoy. This is the deal. So when we speak, we don't speak as if we're, maybe this is a good idea. We could work together to come about. No, we're telling you, stop peddling the lies and nonsense so that we can unite and force the plutocracy, force the oligarchy to serve our needs. But instead, many of our peers in this movement would rather peddle a conspiracy like we're putting wars on the government credit card, or they would peddle other conspiracies about the Rothschilds and all the other stuff that they do, okay? And sadly, that narrative is more easy to comprehend. It's easier for them to buy in to some evil Jews that are doing some evil things to the world than it would be just to understand that our Congress has always been the power of spending belongs to Congress. It doesn't belong to the Federal Reserve. It doesn't belong to the Bank of China. It doesn't belong to anyone else. It belongs only to Congress. Congress has, to quote the old days, the power of the purse. In the new days, Congress authorizes spending. The Federal Reserve does not authorize spending. The Federal Reserve, when it does QE, does not create new money. All the Federal Reserve does is shift debts around. It shifts chairs around on the Titanic. It does nothing but about creating new money. It only creates net financial assets when Congress authorizes it to spend. When Congress authorizes it to spend, that's the only time the Federal Reserve creates new money at the behest of Congress. Now, why don't these other alternative media people say this? Why don't the activists that knew this stuff, once they've heard it, why don't they repeat it constantly? Because they're afraid. Because this shatters the narrative that they've been running around telling everybody about the one world order and the Jews and all the other things that they say. It's too hard to say, oh my God, I was wrong. But you know what? It wasn't that long ago that I had to say I was wrong. It wasn't that long ago that I had to say I was completely and utterly wrong. And it doesn't hurt. It feels good to say you were wrong when you're wrong. It feels freaking kick-ass to admit you were wrong. And move on to bigger and better things because you're held back by the lie. Now think about this. Walk with me here. I tell you I want green energy investments today. How are you going to pay for it, Steve? I tell you I want to have Medicare for all right now. The answer is always, how are you going to pay for it, Steve? I tell you that I want to get rid of all college debt. Eradicate all college debt. And the answer is, how are you going to pay for it, Steve? I tell you I want a federal job guarantee with living wage, living benefits. And they say, how are you going to pay for it, Steve? When Hillary ran against Bernie Sanders, all the Hillbots came out of the woodwork saying, how's Bernie going to pay for his plans? It's bullshit. But Bernie Sanders had Stephanie Kelton on his team. So this horrible right-wing rag called Hot Air published an article about Bernie Sanders' plan. And it says Bernie Sanders is offering up $33 trillion in new spending, but his tax plan only brings in $19 trillion. How's that working out? That's not paying for itself. I wonder if some MMT is creeping in there. So bottom line is that people said they supported Bernie. They said that they wanted Bernie's plans to come true. When you tell them how Bernie's plans can come true, the people say, but the Rothschilds, but the Fed's private, but oh my God, the Jews. Okay? And it's like, guys, this is how it is. I know it doesn't sound as sexy as Alex Jones' version of the truth. But the reality is, federal financing is a direct result of Congress. Congress writes a bill, the Federal Reserve makes it happen. Federal Reserve was brought into existence by our Congress. That's the deal. They didn't just come into the nation and say, we're going to do whatever. No, they came in as a creature of Congress. Not a creature from Jekyll Isle, a creature of Congress. Congress dictates what they do. The president nominates and hand selects who will lead the Fed. The Board of Governors is direct appointments from the president. Now fancy this, we keep electing neoliberals, and the Federal Reserve keeps acting like neoliberals. What's the correlation? I don't know. Could it possibly be that the neoliberals we elect as president are nominating neoliberals for the Federal Reserve, so you're getting neoliberal policies? Could that possibly be it? Could that be it? Maybe. I don't know. I think so. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. But I want you to do your own research. Don't ever take anything I say at face value. Everything I say is fact-checkable, and not from some fucking 3 a.m. blog by Alex Jones or the coming economic collapse by Ron Paul, but by PhD Stephanie Kelton, PhD L. Randall Wray, PhD Tcherneva, Pavlina Tcherneva, PhD Bill Black, on and on and on, PhD James Galbraith, okay? PhD Steve Keen, all these folks. I don't sit there and go to the blogosphere to come up with bullshit. I'm telling you, this is literally how it works. Our government is monetarily sovereign. Forget the friggin' conspiracy theorists. We could spend money today, right here, right now, on everything that we need and want. Everything. Everything. So, jokingly, people say, well, won't that cause inflation? No, it won't cause inflation. We have to have all the resources that we need tapped out before we start worrying about inflation. For example, what is the real value? The ticket to go to a rock concert or the concert? Think about it for a minute. Concert's over. I've still got a ticket. Is it worth $500? No. What was worth $500? The seat at the show. When I run out of seats at the show, it doesn't matter how many tickets I have. The tickets aren't worth anything. Never were. The real value was the show. Just like dollars. We can never run out of dollars. We can never run out of dollars. No, we can't. We can never run out of dollars. The bottom line is that we can run out of real resources. When everybody's employed, when everybody has a living wage, when everybody has the needs taken care of, you can start seeing inflationary pressures. There's no hyperinflation to be had, but this is what the conspiracy minds say. And when you tell them that the conspiracies are not true, they go apoplectic. They lose their mind. They stop friending you. They stop listening to you. They start blocking you. They start cutting you out of things. They start treating you like a pariah. Why? Because the truth doesn't sell as much as a fucking lie. It's more pleasurable to listen to a friggin' wild conspiracy than actually learn how this shit works. The Federal Reserve is a giant scorekeeper. Imagine this. You go to a football game. The team goes down the field, scores a touchdown. All of a sudden, 6 points are on the board. Where did those points come from? Can the scoreboard ever run out of points? Can U.S. Airlines ever run out of frequent flyer miles? Can Giant ever run out of 10% off coupons? No, they can't. What they can run out of is burgers. They can run out of sodas. They can run out of real resources. So what we have a situation is a country that has been completely screwed for over 40 years with neoliberalism. Neoliberalism has destroyed our nation. We've stopped fixing our bridges. Folks, let me show you this. We've stopped fixing our bridges. You see this? We stopped fixing our bridges. And we stopped fixing our nation's infrastructure. We stopped taking care of what we need to take care of. And so now we got 40 years of untapped potential that has been completely let go. That has been completely ignored. And so now we've got so much work to do. So much unbelievable work to do. The idea that the robots are coming to take over when we've left 40 years of dilapidation in our country go to hell, you're crazy. You're fucking crazy. And when I tell the UBI folks that they're crazy, they get angry, they start unfriending, they stop inviting you to the company picnic, they stop going to the movies with you, they don't want to talk to you anymore because you just broke their entire backs based on truth, not bullshit, not how I feel, truth. That's the painful thing about truth. It leaves you with very few friends. Truth leaves you with very few friends. But a job guarantee in the nation, right, as opposed to a UBI, job guarantee immediately makes it so that all employers hire people that are already working. Universal basic income. But anyway, when you look at it, a job guarantee stops all involuntary unemployment. It provides the baseline for all benefits. In other words, health care, you name it, across the board. So you get a guaranteed job that sets the floor, not a friggin' minimum wage. I'm talking about the guarantee package across the board. Eradicates involuntary unemployment. It eradicates people being without health care. It eradicates any kind of nonsense that comes from the man sticking it to the workers. This is a real labor-friendly approach, and there is so much work to do. Folks, if we had single payer right now, how many doctors, nurses, orderlies, friggin' hospitals, machines, you name it, how many of those things will we need to satisfy everyone being taken care of properly? There would be a boom in our economy, filling out the needs for everybody getting health care. A boom. Okay? And then what happens when you look at our energy grid? Our energy grid has been left to fall to shit in a handbasket. Okay? We would be blowing up if we friggin' implemented green energy alone. And then guess what? No matter what OPEC does, no matter what any other country does with their oil supply, we don't care because we no longer are dependent on oil-based products. Our entire cost of doing business falls, our world is improved, we save the environment, etc. This is all radical thinking to some, but it's so simple because it's right there in front of us. We don't have to change the money system to do this. This is why the truths that we talk about are so vital and so ignored by so many. And when you see them talking about throwing wars on the government credit card, there is no fucking government credit card. That's not how it works. We create our own damn money. We don't borrow our money from China. That's not how we do it. It's not how it works. It's stupid. And when we tell people it's stupid, they go apoplectic. But it's true. It's stupid. I can't help it. I'm sorry your pet conspiracy is stupid. I'm sorry it's founded in idiocy. But it is. And it is killing people. That's the worst part. Do you realize that every day you think our country is broke, some poor person goes without shelter, they go without food, they go without every meaningful health-based need that we could provide them today? Because people sit there and say, well, put it on the government credit card. It doesn't matter whether you like war or not. That's not true. And it harms the poor because that same argument is then lifted up transported and brought over here when you talk about food stamps, when you talk about housing, when you talk about single payer, when you talk about friggin' college, all that stuff, that's forklifted from war and it's brought over here. Eradicate the lie. Let's not go to war because we don't like killing people. How's that? That's a good enough answer for me. I don't want to bomb the shit out of people. So I don't need to talk about how much it costs because it's bullshit, because we keystroke that dollar into existence and shit happens. Why don't we just change our priority? If you think it's a war for oil, then let's stop lying and let's force our government, by standing together and demanding truth, to go to green energy. If you think it's about oil, I think it's about power. But regardless, if you really believe it's about oil, then let's friggin' make it happen. Let's go to green energy. And let's force them, not sit there and go, well, in 40 years, maybe we can have, no. Let's do it today. We got tons of money because we just print it. We don't print it, we keystroke it. We're not on the gold standard anymore, so don't worry about it. Let's make shit happen. But when I say that, it pisses people off. People love their conspiracies so much, they would let people die to hold on to the idea that they are somehow, hold on. Hegemony is not true. Let's go here real quick. When you think about it, let's say the rest of the world stopped using the dollar. Well, we would have higher price of imports, so we would have to naturally do our own manufacturing here in this country, which for some people that's great. I don't really see it as a great thing because we only have so many resources. I would rather see our resources rebuild our infrastructure. I would rather see our resources go ahead and learn to be doctors and lawyers, and I would, not lawyers, forget God, I would rather they become doctors, and I would rather they take and learn science so that we can develop cures for cancer and other things that are not profitable, like progressive supranuclear palsy, the thing that killed my father. I would rather see us invest in that, underwater welding, whatever, you name it. I don't need to be twisting the ties on a Tootsie Pop so I feel somehow or another like we've got good jobs in this country, okay? I don't need that. That doesn't do anything for me. There's tons of blue-collar work out there if we rebuild the bridges. There's tons of blue-collar work out there if we fix the dams and levees. There's plenty of blue-collar work out there if we protect our forests and we take care of our city streets and we fix our schools. Oh my God, look how many schools were built in 1960 that are run down with lead-based everything. I mean, we could do so much. And a federal job guarantee, let me tell you something. How many of you have had kids that don't get to go to music class, that don't get to go to art class, that don't get to do after-school activities because we don't have the money? Think about it, folks. We have all the money in the world. We have artificially made dollars scarce. We have artificially made dollars scarce. And it's completely unnecessary. And people are dying to keep scarcity of the dollar. Folks, if you believe in climate change or you believe the environment is going to hell in a handbasket and this world we're in is going to fucking become uninhabitable, put your money where your mouth is and stop telling me about debt and deficits and let's go ahead and fix it. If that's divisive, if that causes people to get hot flashes and get upset and get triggered, maybe. Triggered because I told the truth. That bothers them so much. Then you know what? Maybe we're not on the same team if you get triggered by truth. Maybe we're not on the same team. It's okay, I admit. Truth is hard for some people to take, but the truth is we can afford anything right now. And that whenever we act like we don't have the money, we are literally killing the poor. We are literally making it so that people can't get their teeth fixed. You know what I mean? They can't get their teeth fixed. They can't go ahead and get their heart checked out. They have to just go ahead and die. Who cares about the Republicans if we in the progressive movement sit there and perpetuate bullshit economics that ends up killing people? I don't care if you like their personality. I don't care if you think they give great information on other subjects. If they talk about putting wars on government credit cards, if they talk about these things, they are literally perpetuating a lie that leads to massive amounts of death. Massive amounts of death and people that are sick and unable to take care of themselves. I don't care how much you like them. If they are not telling the truth about economics, they are on the hook for an awful lot of death. That's the truth. And that, my friends, is why Real Progressives has created so many enemies. They don't like our certainty. They don't like the fact that we tell the truth. And guess what? The truth is the only way forward. MMT, Modern Monetary Theory, which is a description of how our economic system actually works, not the way Alex Jones says it works, but the way it really works, is the key to us moving forward. Anything else would be uncivilized. I'm Steve Grumbine with Real Progressives. I hope you guys have a great day.